All right guys, today's video is all about extracting honey. How do we get the honey out of a beehive and into glass jars? So basic structure of a beehive is you have the bottom board and then you have two brood boxes, or some people just go with one brood box. The brood box is where the queen will lay all of her eggs. The bees will store resources and whatnot in here, pollen and honey, also to feed the baby bees. But everything that's in these two brood boxes belong to the colony. That's the honey that they'll use to survive all year and throughout the winter. Now the excess honey that the colony will produce goes into what's called honey supers, and that's these two white boxes up on top here. Those boxes are the honey that I'm going to take and extract. Now bees will continue to make an excess of honey, and that's the honey that you pull. We also use a queen excluder in the middle here, and that keeps the queen from going up into the honey and laying eggs. How does it keep her from doing that? Well, a queen is bigger than the other bees, so you've got little slits of bars or whatnot, and the regular sized bees can make it through those bars, but the queen is too large and can't go up through it. So that keeps her down here in these boxes, and the other bees can go up here and stack honey in the honey supers. So let me show you all about how you pull the honey off the hive and process it. All right, here we go. All right, so like I said, the first thing we got to do is remove our excess honey, and that's what we're doing here. So you want to cover up your boxes, because this time of year the bees are really desperate for resources, and they'll get in there and try and steal that honey, and you'll have a mess, just tons of bees. I ended up getting 3 deep boxes and 1 medium box worth of honey, so it was a pretty good haul. Now the first thing you got to do is remove the wax cappings from the cells. The bees will cover the cells with a wax capping to preserve the honey once they've got it the moisture content correctly and it's properly turned into honey. And these wax cappings will stay on it until the bees are ready to use it, or until I'm ready to extract it. So this is one way of removing the wax cappings. There's other ways to doing it, other ways that are faster maybe, but this is the tool that I have and the way that I did it. So it was monotonous, it took a long time, and I basically spent all day extracting the honey. You end up left with a bunch of wax cappings that have honey all over them, and we'll get to cleaning those up later. What you do is you use a spinner or an extractor similar to this one, and this one holds 2 frames. You stick it in there, and then this one's a hand cranked extractor, and you basically turn it, and as it spins, the honey will fling out of the cells once the caps are removed, and that's the process here. In order to see what's really going on, we're going to do a slow-mo, and this slows down the process, and you'll be able to see the honey actually coming out of the cells and flinging over against the outside wall. Once you've extracted the honey from one side of the frame, all you got to do is pull it out and flip the frame over, and then you can extract the opposite side. So after you're done extracting, you're left with empty honeycomb. There's a little bit of honey residue down in there. You can see a little honey bubble there. The bees later on will give this back to them and they will clean it completely, and there won't be one speck of honey left in the comb. And then they'll be able to reuse this again next year when it's time to store honey. Then we have to filter it. There's all kinds of little specks of wax in there from wax cappings that didn't quite get taken off, and the filter will take that right out. Now this is after you filter it. You got pure raw honey. Now once you're done, rather than rinse everything out, you just set it outside so the bees can get to it, along with the wax cappings, and they'll clean it all up. Just a few minutes later, this is what you have. The bees are in an absolute feeding frenzy. This time of year, July and August, there's not a lot of flowers blooming around this area. So the resources are scarce and hard to find. So if the bees find or locate something they can use, they go crazy about it. And the next day you can see it's dwindled off quite a bit. The wax cappings have pretty much been cleaned, and this is what you have, just dry wax cappings, no honey. There'll be one or two bees sticking around to lick up the last little bit. If you look real close here, you can see the bee licking the wax capping there, just trying to get any little excess honey she can. After all that, I bag it up, and you can see the older comb has some darker flecks in it, whereas comb from this year that's fresh and new is nice and clear. One of the things we like to do is kind of decorate our jars a little bit. We use like a bridal netting, I think it's yellow, and then we use a fabric and put that on there. Gives it a real homey look, and just kind of spruces up the jar a little bit. I ended up with 75 jars this year, so I'm very happy with the outcome. That's a pretty good haul. All right, guys, so that's the process. I've already extracted all my honey for the year. I've put these boxes back on the hive. Now the bees will clean up the empty cells with all the excess honey on it, and the cells will be ready to use again in no time. So I hope you learned something from this video, something you might not have known prior. And if you like this kind of stuff, guys, stick around. Give me a like and a subscribe. Got lots more coming down the road. All right, thanks for watching. See you on the next one.